सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओं. We are in chapter 6 and we have completed up to 33rd sloka. We will revise 33rd sloka and go forward. Arjuna uvacha yoyum yogastvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pasyami chanchalatvat sthitim stiram. Paramatma has given the possible obstacles for meditation and also the remedies for those obstacles, like laya, vikshepam, kashayam, rasaswadam. These are the four obstacles which were mentioned in Mandukya Karikas. Laya means getting into sleep during meditation, dozing off. Then vikshepam is not staying with the object of meditation, instead hovering all over the world, the wavering mind. Then kashayam. Kashayam is if one is subjected to shock, a mental shock. He doesn't know what to do. He is totally fused off. His mind is totally subject to shock. So, stabdi bhavaha, that is called. That is called stabdi bhavam. He cannot emote. He cannot, do anything in that stage. So, that is called kashayam. Then the last and the important one is rasaswadam. Rasaswadam means every meditator will get some kind of pleasure during meditation. That is peacefulness, the mental peace, the tranquility of the mind, rest. All these things, one experiences during the meditation. So, he should not get addicted to this. He should not think that this is the ultimate thing. That is the final goal. No, that is not the final goal. All this is koshanandam. All this is happening through the koshams only. That is not absolute happiness. That is not absolute peace. That is not absolute security. Because Shastra says, you are the very swarupa of absolute peace, happiness and security. The meditation facilitates concentration. So, you should know the limitation of the meditation and do it. You should not get addicted because of this kind of experience. Some people say, that after meditation, if I come out, it is like, some 1,000 scorpions sting my body. If that be the experience, why should he do it? So one should not get addicted to this. One should understand the limitation and do the meditation. Meditation is nididhyasanam, contemplation, to have that atmanishta. So you should stay with that atma bhavam. So that is the very idea. It is all the four obstacles are having remedies. The first one is dozing off or laya. We should know the reason why you are dozing off. If you eat too much, you doze off. If you have indigestion, you doze off. So that is one thing. If you have lack of sleep, you doze off. So you should know the reason. Sometimes, due to the habit, the moment you close, mind thinks that you are sleeping. So you should educate, you should counsel the mind. You should counsel the mind, saying that you are going to meditate. You are not going to sleep. So this way you can address the obstacle called laya, the obstacle called sleeping during the meditation. Then for Vikshepa, Krishna Paramatma gave two powerful weapons. One is called Abhyasam and other one is called Vairagyam, which we are going to discuss today. The third one is Kashayam. Kashayam is because you have not given vent to your feelings, this kind of state occurs. So all your emotions are hidden. So they need an opportunity to come out. Because of this, you are getting this Stabdi Bhava. So what you have to do is, you have to go to a solitary place and express your emotions. If you want to shout, you shout. If you want to cry, you cry. If you want to hit somebody, you hit the wall. So like that, you have to give vent to your feelings and give expression for the hidden feelings, so that this Kashayam can be evaded. Then Rasaswadam. Rasaswadam you can avoid by educating your mind, by telling your mind that the meditation is purely for Atmanishta. Nididhyasanam is purely for Atmanishta, and whatever is the happiness, whatever is the peace, whatever is the security you feel during meditation is only Koshanandam. The real Atmanandam is yourself. For that you need not do meditation. The meditation helps you in avoiding viparita bhavanas, in avoiding habitual formation. Over years, over janmas, you are under the impression that you are body, you are mind, you are the sense organs and so on. So now, during this Atmanishta, you can avoid this kind of habitual formation. So that is the remedy. After having discussed all these things, still Arjuna continues his pessimism. He says, my mind is not stable. I am unable to maintain the poise. I am unable to maintain the composure. So, he expresses his difficulty to Krishna Paramatma. This he tells in two different questions. The first question is, my mind is not stable. Then the second sloka, 34th, is again Arjuna's question. Arjuna uvacha chanchalam himana krishna pramadhi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Hey Krishna, manaha balavat drudam chanchalam pramadhi aham hi tasya nigraham vayoho iva sudushkaram manye. O Krishna, manahahi, the mind is indeed chanchalam, fickle and wavering. Pramadhi means turbulent. Balavat, powerful. Drudam, form. Aham manye, I consider. Tasya nigraham, to have a control on this. Sudushkaram is very difficult. Iva Vayoho, just like controlling the wind. O Krishna, the mind indeed is fickle, turbulent, powerful, and firm. I consider mastering this is very difficult, like that of the wind. Arjuna uses four terms. What are the four terms? Chanchalam, Pramadi, Balaha, Drudam. Chanchalam means highly fluid. Pramadi means wavering all the time, very turbulent. This nature is called Pramadi. Pramadi means disturbing the other organs also, transferring the disturbance to sense organs and the body. Not only it is Chanchalam, Pramadi, it is Balavat, it is very strong. Initially, I thought the mind is my instrument. I can control it. I can master it. I can try to discipline this. But now I come to know that I am not the master. Rather, I am a helpless servant. Therefore, it is Balavat. Even if the intellect tells, do not do this, the mind says, you are right, but I will do this. I will do what I want. This is the mind, so it is very strong. I am not able to convince and persuade the mind. Madhusudana Saraswati defines the balavat of the mind, the strongness of the mind, as vicharena api jetum na sektum. Even after analysis, even after giving sufficient reason, also the mind cannot be controlled. Every addict knows that it is wrong, but he cannot help it. He cannot discipline the mind. I try to take my mind away from that field. I do not think about that. But then the mind sticks to that like a fly on a jackfruit. Tasya nigraham dushkaram aham manye. So you may conquer everything in this world, but it is very difficult to win your mind. The manojayam is the toughest thing. So how it is difficult? Here Arjuna has given an example, like Vayu. You cannot control the wind. You cannot hold the wind, or you cannot control the wind. See, if the Vayu comes like a tempest or a kind of depression, then it will create a lot of calamity. So, like Vayu, how it creates devastation, in the same way the mind can create any havoc. Now, it is the turn of Bhagavan to answer Arjuna. Now, Bhagavan says, Sri Bhagavan uvacha asamsayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. Sri Bhagavan uvacha, he mahabaho, manaha asamsayam chalam durnigraham. He kaunteya tat abhyasena vairagyena cha gruhyate. So here Paramatma is giving two powerful instruments. Abhyasa vairagyabhyam tannirodha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So, Lord is answering. He Mahabaho. He is criticizing Arjuna, saying that you are Mahabaho. You have got lot of physical strength, but not mental strength. So, all these addresses, if you analyze, there is a lot of meaning. One can do research in these, addresses, how Paramatma addresses Arjuna at each instance. Asamsayam, doubtless. Undoubtedly. Asamsayam means undoubtedly. Manaha chanchalam, the mind is fickle and wavering. Durnigraham, very difficult to control or discipline. So, Paramatma is agreeing to the point of Arjuna. Paramatma approves Arjuna's viewpoint. He Kaunteya, O Arjuna, however, tu gruhyate, it can be restrained. How? Vairagyena cha abhyasena. So through two instruments, you can discipline the mind. What are the two instruments? Abhyasam and Vairagya. So what Paramatma wants to say, it is no doubt it is difficult to control the mind or to discipline the mind. But however, it is not impossible. It is not impossible to control or discipline the mind. How you can control? By Abhyasam and Vairagya. So, Paramatma is giving solution in 35 and 36th sloka. What are the solutions? We'll see. Paramatma, as an intelligent teacher, is pointing out that the human being must know his weakness first. He is analyzing. First he says, one must identify his weakness. Like Arjuna says that his mind is not stable. He identified his problem. When you identify your problem, when you know your weakness, that is the first point to learn. That is the first point to rectify yourself. If you do not know that you have a weakness, nobody can help you. So the first and foremost important thing is one must acknowledge and one must identify one's own problem. In an organization called Alcoholic Anonymous, it is an international organization. It will help the people who are addicted towards the alcohol. So there they insist upon a point, you should know your weakness and admit that you have this weakness. If you admit that it is a weakness and you want to rectify, then you get the help. So, according to Paramatma, there are only two methods to discipline the mind. What are the two methods? Abhyasam and Vairagya. What is Abhyasa? Now we should remember that the mind will always dwell upon anything without distraction in which it has got interest. Irrespective of the person, for any person, the mind stays on a particular thing, whatever the Vishaya Vastu he is interested in. So mind has a capacity, you need not do any tapas or acquire any special qualification. Mind has a capacity to stay with one object if it is having interest. So, for example, if you love reading, if you love reading novels, you just get involved in that. You forget everything. You are so much absorbed in it. It is very easy to get nirvikalpa samadhi in that. You are totally in that nishtha. You do not require any special training for that. You forget hunger, you forget thirst, and you keep on reading the novels. And you do not know anything in your surroundings. I know one person who missed the flight because of this, voracious reading habit. So he was reading while he was waiting in the lounge. The airport authorities, they were calling first call, second call, like that. Calls went away and the flight took place. So this is the concentration. If you love cricket match, a similar experience do take place. However, I do not know whether people like a cricket match because you do not know which one is a fixed match, which one is a fixed catch. So if you love this cricket match, that too one-day cricket, the last over, 6 runs to win, the match is India against Pakistan, then what happens to your concentration? You have got fullest concentration, that too effortlessly. Can anyone say, I do not have concentration? No. Did you get any training for this? No. Similarly, some people are interested in dogs. If you ask them, they tell you umpteen varieties of dogs and their habits, their specialities, all these things they keep telling. They also do the birthday parties for the dogs, whatnot. So, the concentration requires interest. Love. Concentration requires interest and love. Interest or love requires developing a value for that. How to develop value? Only by trying to understand its superiority. And this process is called Viveka Abhyasa. This is called Vivekam and Abhyasam. See the superiority of something by repeatedly reading about it, talking about it and sharing about it. You develop a value for that. And naturally, you get concentration on that particular thing. If you are interested in shares, naturally, you know all the prices of the scripts, the current prices of each and every script. So this is because you are interested in that. So in the similar way, to develop the interest in Atma Vidya, you should know the glory of it. You should understand its superiority, and then you have to lend your ears to a competent and Srotriya Brahmanishta. Then naturally you get interest in this. This Atman Atma Vivekam you will develop. So this is called Abhyasam. You have to develop healthy habits like Parayanam, like going to a temple, doing Panchamahayajnas, then listening to the scriptures. All these healthy habits, they bring a sea change in your mind, and they give you a lot of concentration towards the subject. This is called Viveka Abhyasa. And you should know what is Nityam, what is Anityam. Like if you sit on a cardboard chair, our Paramarthanandaji always gives this classical example. There is a well-decorated cardboard chair, simhasanam, cardboard simhasanam is there. It is perfectly good, very nice, very decorative. You can appreciate it. You can keep it in a showcase and wonder the beauty of it. But one thing you cannot do, you cannot sit on it. If you sit on it, you will break your legs because it cannot stand your weight. So if you want to sit, you have to sit on a wooden chair or a chair which can stand your weight. So similarly, if you want to depend upon something, all the local things are variant, just like cardboard chairs. Whatever the thing you want to depend upon in this Vyavahara Prapancham is all, variant. They are not stable. The one and only one thing you can rely upon is God. So this is called Nitya Vastu Vivekaha. So you have to concentrate on God. You should know the superiority, the glory of the God, and then develop interest towards spirituality. Now, this also will become an addiction. You may say that listening to Gita also became an addiction. Going to temple becomes an addiction. Doing vratas become an addiction. So that way, don't we call this also as an addiction? Yes, it is an addiction, but this addiction is called Subhavasana. This is a good addiction. This is an addiction which will help you. So from Asubhavasana, from a bad addiction, you have to change to good addiction. So Vairagyam is towards the bad addiction, then Abhyasam is towards the good addiction. First, you have to identify what is a good addiction, what is a bad addiction, and then cling to good addiction, cling to all spiritual activities, and then avoid all mundane activities. You give priority to spiritual activity and keep everything else the secondary priority, not the primary thing. So this is what Paramatma says. This is how you can develop interest and concentration on a particular subject. Matchitta madgata pranaha bodhayanta parasparam kadayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So such a person, his mind is totally engrossed on God. Matchitta, his thoughts are always filled with me, with my divine things. Madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam. He always talks about my glory. And he revels in my nature. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. He rejoices and he revels in me. So that is what we require, and we get this by Abhyasam and Vairagya. 36th sloka. Asamyatatmana yogo dushprapa iti me matihi vasyatmana tu yatata sekyo avaptum upayata. Asamyatatmana yogaha dushprapaha vasyatmana yatata tu upayataha avaptum sekyaha iti me matihi. Yogaha dushprapaha. Dhyana yoga is difficult to be attained. Asamyatatmana, by one with unrestrained mind. Tu, but sakya avaptum, it can be attained. Vasyatmana, by the self-controlled. Yatata, who strives. Upayata, through proper means. Iti, this is me matihi, my view. Dhyana yoga is difficult to be attained by one with unrestrained mind. Dhyana yoga is difficult to be attained by one with unrestrained mind. But it can be attained by the self-controlled who strives through proper means. This is my view. So Paramatma says, if you don't restrain the mind, if you don't discipline the mind, you cannot achieve Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga cannot be achieved if you do not restrain the mind. So, if one restrains the mind, they can easily achieve this concentration and Atmanishta. This is my view. That's what Paramatma is saying. So, the same idea Paramatma is clarifying further. That is, Vivekam and Vairagyam are only two methods by which the mind changes its interest from something perishable to something imperishable. You should know what is Nityam, what is Anityam. So, Anityam you avoid, Nityam you accept. Something fake and something real. You should distinguish what is fake and what is real. If that mind has not practiced this Viveka and Vairagya, such mind is called Asamyatatma. Yatatma means the mind which is trained. So, Atma here means mind. Asamyata means not channelized. Channelized from the perishable to imperishable. Unable to distinguish what is perishable, what is imperishable. So, a person who cannot recognize, who cannot analyze Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, is always in fond of things around this Vyavahara world. He is always fond of mopping up a lot of wealth and, getting a lot of fame, and he becomes extrovert. So that is his behavior, because he thinks that is the priority and that is final and that is real. One who understands, one who analyzes Nityam and Anityam, he knows the triviality, uncertainty of this Vyavahara world. He will give priority to spirituality. He will not give priority to the mundane things. So, from unhealthy to healthy, from Ardhakama Pradhana to Moksha Pradhana, that is how he changes his priority. Paramarthananda gives a beautiful example here. He says, you look at a mother having a month-old baby. She has to feed the baby now and then. So, in spite of her day-to-day work, she will be cooking, she will be doing all household work. Her mind is always on the child. Like we say in Gita, Pasyan Srunvan Sprusan Jigran, like that, all the time, round the clock, her mind is focused towards the child. So she runs every now and then and feeds the baby. So like that, a spiritual person, when he fixes his interest, when he prioritizes the spirituality to mundane things, naturally, he gets concentration. Concentration becomes an effortless affair. So such a person is called Vasyatma. or Samyata Atma. The first line it is called Asamyata Atma. Asamyata Atma means whose mind is not disciplined, whose mind is not under his control, who has become a servant to the mind. So for such person, the spirituality is not possible. The meditation is not possible. The Atmanishta is not possible. Sakhya avaptum upayataha. Avaptum sakhya means the meditation is possible for whom? Who has disciplined the mind through these two upayas. What are the two upayas? Vivekam and Vairagyam. Upayata vasyatmanaha. So by this upayam, he can conquer the mind. Therefore, read the scriptures, dwell upon the basic teaching of our scriptures, the world dependence to God dependence, from God dependence to self dependence, you have to change. Do not stuck in the world dependence. It is very risky. Like depending upon the corporate water. So this is what Paramatma says. He has given two wonderful instruments. One is called Abhyasam and Vairagyam. Abhyasam, how you get interest on a particular thing, he has very clearly analyzed how you can develop interest by knowing the superiority, by knowing its glory, and then knowing its value, you can develop the interest. Like the Paravidya or Atma Vidya is the superior one, which can give you the Ananda, which is your own Swarupa, which can be tapped without the need of external things. So, Abhyasam and Vairagyam are the two important instruments one should know, and by practice of this, you can always discipline the mind. So, though Paramatma clearly explained this, Arjuna continues his pessimism. He is again falling into that weak mind, and he thinks of his failure in capturing the mind. He thinks that he cannot discipline the mind. If so, what will be his fate? Suppose he dies without disciplining the mind and without having control on the mind. If he dies without having Atmanishta, what will be the fate? So, Arjuna questions again. This question continues for 3 slokas, and this is a special topic, a very important portion in the Gita. This portion is called Yoga Brashta portion in Gita, which is a very important portion, which is the question lingers in every sadhaka's mind. So, we are getting the clarification about this. Arjuna vacha ayati shraddhayopeto yogacharita manasaha aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. Arjuna vacha, he Krishna, shraddhaya upetaha ayatihi yogacharita manasaha yoga samsiddhim aprapya kam gatim gacchati. Arjuna vacha, Arjuna asked, O Krishna, upetaha shraddhaya, one who is endowed with faith, ayatihi, but whose effort is insufficient, charita manasa, whose mind is, wavering, yogat, from dhyana yoga, aprapya, having not attained that stable mind, yogam samsiddhim, the result of dhyana yoga, gatim, what goal gacchati does the sadhaka attain? Arjuna asked, O Krishna, suppose there is one who is endowed with faith, but whose effort is insufficient, whose mind has stayed away from dhyana yoga, having not attained the result of dhyana yoga, what goal he attains? With the previous verse, Paramatma concludes his answer to Arjuna's question. Arjuna's question was how to handle the wandering mind, vikshepa nivrutti, the problem of restless mind, restlessness during meditation, how to handle the vikshepam. Paramatma has given the solution as abhyasam and vairagyam, or vivekam and vairagyam, which means develop interest in the object of meditation, know the superiority and give value to the object of interest, and then automatically you can have concentration. Also by satsanga, in Bhajagovindam, satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivanmukti. Satsangatve, you should know who are the noble people, who are the people who can help you in the spirituality. So you opt their company, satsangatve. By opting that company, what will you get? Nissangatvam. Nissangatvam means by opting their company, you get vairagyam. Satsangam is abhyasam, nissangatvam is vairagyam. Abhyasam and vairagyam. By nissangatvam nirmohatam, the delusion will go away. Nirmohatve nischalatatvam. When you are free from delusion, when you are free from your ajnanam, you get to know that Atma Tattvam, Nischala Tattve Jivan Mukti. When you stay with that Atma Nishtha, you get Jivan Mukti. So, because Sangha also influences, so you should choose the right company. If I am moving with a person who considers the money alone can give you happiness, sooner or later, I will begin to say, money alone can give happiness. Unknowingly, I develop a value for that. That is why Shankaracharya said all this. Yogat Chelita Manasa, who has fallen from this spirituality, which means he did not succeed in his spiritual sadhana. So here, yoga means spiritual sadhanas. Adhyatma yogaha. Chelita manasa means who has fallen from the spiritual path. Therefore, ayatihi means alpa prayatnam, a person of insufficient effort. And why the effort was not sufficient? Because of various obstacles. It may be Adi Daivika Pratibandakam, supernatural forces. You can have Rahu, Keti, Seni and all those dashas. Or it can be Adi Bhautikam, Adi Bhautika Pratibandakam, obstacles from your surroundings, from your friends, from your company. So this is one possibility. Then Adhyatmika Pratibandakam, obstacles from oneself in the form of illness, etc. Suppose I lose hearing capacity. What to hear? I can't do Sravana. Therefore, the Adibhautika Pratibandha san saha ayatihi bhavati. So this lack of effort is because of these pratibandhakas. Alpa prayatnaha bhavati. So his prayatnam will be not sufficient. Durlabam trayame vaitat devanugraha hetukam manusyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samsrayaha. Kam gacchati. So, what is the lot of this person who did not perform his sadhana completely? Will he have any hina janma? What will be his next birth like? So, he did not enjoy the world, nor he did sadhana. It is like, dobika kutta, na gharka na ghatka. That's what they say. So, Trisanka Swargam, he did not go to Swargam, nor he is enjoying the earth. So, like that, he is in between. So, for such person, what will be the fate? Will he go to the Swargaloka or will he get the Hina Janmas? That was the question. So, such a person is called Yoga Brashta. So, what is the fate of the Yoga Brashta? That is the question of Arjuna. Yoga Brashta means a sadhaka who performed his sadhana, but his effort is not sufficient enough to give him the ultimate fruits. So such person is called Yoga Brashta. What will be the fate of Yoga Brashta? So that is the question. The answer. The question continues for another two more slokas, and then Paramatma gives the answer. With this, we'll close today's class. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.